bark and he's doing it super loud, and I hate that. I'll try to keep it mild. So who here's having a good time at MAGfest so far? Woo! Okay, and yet you're here.
Yeah, well, this is cool. This is awesome.
This is really cool. Okay.
Yeah, I'm glad that we decided. I'm glad that I pitched doing this panel because I'm interested in like talking a little bit about the idea of game journalism as a career, and game freelancing as a career, and game criticism as a career, and how what that really means and what that doesn't mean, and what the realities versus some of the misconceptions are like, and things like that. So I'm going to just kick us off. We're at 7 o'clock, so hi. My name's Amanda Lang. I actually work for Microsoft. I'm an evangelist. I also work for a site called taprepeatedly.com, where I write game reviews. And I've been doing that now for going on 5 years, maybe. So I have experience writing various articles related to game critique mostly, and reviews. And I did a panel last year about critique and reviews. This year we're talking a little bit about like the hiring and career process of that. And so I have two panelists. Let them introduce themselves as well.
Hi, I'm Kit. Hi.
Evening.
It's almost like an AA session. Hi, I'm Kit. I like to play games.
Hi, Kit.
Yeah. I have been freelancing for about 6 or 7 years now. I don't recommend it. That being said, currently I'm editor-in-chief of Haywire magazine. I've also written, yeah, some of you are like, okay, I know that name. I've also written for Offworld, back to Kickstarter. I've also written for, not Mary Cookhouse, I've written for a couple of other people. I've also have had 2 articles in Playboy, because you actually read them for the articles.
Now more than ever.
Now more than ever, yeah. And that was fun to describe that to my family. Be like, yeah, I actually read it for the articles I was in. What? But I'm also, aside from the freelancing, I've also started developing games, thanks to the interactive fiction fund that was going on last year. So that will sort of change your viewpoints, because you learn that the many factors that go into game development. Not to say that everything's objective and not biased, but you kind of learn like, right? When you play a game, right, you're playing a finished product more or less. In cases of day zero hacks or day zero bugs or things that get fixed on day zero, the expectation is that you're playing a finished product, and so as a player you're only seeing certain things. As a developer, you're like, I see where the art in this they lost their budget. Like, I see where the team changed halfway through. You start seeing kind of how the sausage gets made. And not to say that it biases you, but you get a little bit more patient with the team sometimes. Like, okay, hey, you guys had to deal with 30 days of crunch. Okay, So it's very interesting to sort of balance that, as well as like an academic analysis view.
I just made a note to like go into that a little bit deeper, because I'm also a developer. I also develop for the company, not on any of the games that are famous for Microsoft or anything, but I do write code. And you're right, that's a big topic to talk about.
Yeah.
The developer writer crossover is huge. So
especially if you're indie, a lot of people that do indie games have also been critiquing games and do their own indie games. So there is a bit of a crossover in certain circles.
Yeah, Kate pretty much just take everything she said, copy and paste, change some of the fonts, and it's me. I'm Charles.
This is why I always off my work too, and I can't get it done.
Yeah, this is me. I'm a freelance jack at all everything. I too have written for Playboy. In fact, my favorite thing that I could ever say has been published was I wrote a Pokemon article for Playboy. and the title is based on is tomorrow 4, Pokemon's Mythic Narratives. So if you want to hear a pitch I made to Playboy about Pokemon, 4 p.m. tomorrow. I also am one of the original writers for Real Otaku Gamer from back in 2010. I've written for Animgamers. I've got now coming out of Unwinnable. This
Yeah,
next
I've written for
month.
Unwinnable.
Yes, I've written for Unwinnable. I'm picking up her slack at Haywire now that she's got an actual job. And yeah, I pretty much just, if someone asks me to write something, I write it. If I have an interesting idea, like right now I'm trying to shop around an article on the construction of such and gender in Final Fantasy, and for some reason nobody wants it. So I'm still writing it, and I also have an article, an unpublished article about the psychology of being addicted to World of Warcraft, because that game sucked 8 years out of my life. But these are some of the things that I just write I write because I enjoy writing, and if someone will take it, someone will take it.
Cool. So what I have in front of me here, and you notice I don't have slides, it's just got conversation. I have a lot of questions that I want to both like talk about from my own perspective and also the other two panelists have them talk about. And then from there, we'll probably be able to take some of your questions as well, but I've got a bunch of different things that I want to touch on here. First of all, how do you break into this freelance writing about games thing? For me, I started doing games writing when I randomly got a bug up my butt to like erase my old blogger that was just about me and just write about video games on there because I was really interested in writing about video games. So I wrote like a big thing about Shadow of the Colossus, and someone from Kotaku hit me up and was like, hey, that was a cool article you wrote about. I was like, what? Where'd you come from? And they put it on Kotaku. And I was like, oh, that's neat. I guess I can kind of do this. But for a while, I just sort of posted this to my own blog. And then eventually I had a friend of a friend who was like, hey, I run this video game site. You've written some pretty decent stuff. You want to like write a guest essay. And so I wrote a guest essay. And then from there, I got connected to a bunch of other people who were doing essays. And then from there, he's like, just keep writing for the site. So I was like, all right, that sounds cool. And I'll write something else for someone else every once in a while, but I'm a little bit different in that I don't really freelance. I have a staff writer position, but I'll talk a little bit about what that means to me, because it's different from what you might, like it's not my full-time job. It's a part-time, secondary thing that I do as in addition to my day job, and it's always been like a secondary thing for me.
As opposed to me, who kind of fell into it by accident. I find, who's here struggled with writer's block or creative block of some kind? Now, I get that still, but I find that paying the bills is a real motivator. Not so much, oh, I have to turn this in tomorrow else I don't get paid, but this idea of, I got into it when I was still in college, and this idea of, oh, hey, I have something to say, people might listen to it, great. Oh, now, if I'm doing this because I have no other job, or I'm a student and I'm still kind of, not quite in full-time employment, I need to pay the bills, like phone bills, $50 goes a really long way when you have nothing. And $50 that you might get for a list, for like Paste Magazine, pays my phone bill. So I learned very early on to be like, if you want a list, I can do that by the end of the week. And then it might take you a month to get paid. I started out getting into freelancing though, by being that really weird person who was an English major that was interested in tech and analyzing things. Also, there's a lot of crossover between the anime cons and video gaming. So I kind of fell into it sideways. And in my case, because I was still a student for a long time, I ended up getting into the venues that were like, oh, hey, I'm doing a game site. Would you mind doing a list of the Steam sales this week? Okay, sure. Oh, hey, I see you have a piece of Razer hardware, or accessory hardware already. Do you want to do a review on it? Great, sure. In no cases was I paid for that, like for the initial few years. I think my last review copy of anything I had was in 2011. So it was a very different approach than some people might think of, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to get paid.
Getting paid,
No.
it's not easy. I wrote for Real Otaku Gamer for years, and I love that site, I love what they do. The reason I stopped writing for them is because I was starting to find paid gigs. when I started out with ROG, it's because they were looking for writers, and I just, I needed something to do. I wanted to write more stuff for other outlets instead of just for my own website, and it kind of just worked. And Andre, the guy who owns the site, he referred me to a couple of other sites, and a couple of other sites, and a couple of other sites. And eventually, it's just one of those things with me where I started becoming omnipresent in the anime fan community, especially at conventions. So the people that run the websites or started running magazines would be like, hey Charles, we need something done. Could you write this for our website? That's how I got the Anime Gamers piece, was because Anime Gamers asked me to write something for the website. With Playboy, it was literally, hi, my friend Kit wrote for you. Can I write for you? It's about Pokemon. And that was it. I got an acceptance like a day later. And
in my case, it was literally, I trolled Twitter.
Yes.
I have Hootsuite open on a separate tab, so I have Twitter always on. And I just so happened to see, scrolling in my feed, the editor from Playboy, the games editor from Playboy going, yeah, we're looking for pitches. And I'm like, oh really? Let me open up my email right now.
It's a lot of luck. I mean, I've sent out pitches to more than a dozen sites over the course of the last month, and I've only heard back from 2 of them. So it is definitely a challenge getting involved in a lot of them. You can't underestimate luck and knowing people. Because they always say about like, your skill will shine through, yeah, but if you don't know anybody and you're not there in the right place at the right time, you could be the greatest writer in the world and no one will notice. I toiled in total obscurity writing for a full year and a half before I got my first paid gig. And it was literally because I annoyed the editor until she published it.
I also have to kind of segue into this.